Alright, this is the camera battle we have all been waiting for. The Samsung S26 Ultra versus the iPhone 17 Pro Max. But not just in photos, not just in specs on paper. We are talking stabilization, real-world video, walking shots, zoomed-in footage, low-light movement, the kind of stuff that actually matters when you hit record. And I'm telling you right now, this comparison might surprise you. So before we jump into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a like because we're about to break this down properly, and you do not want to miss what is coming next. Let's start with the hardware because that is where stabilization begins. The Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra is coming in with enhanced optical image stabilization on its massive 200 megapixel main sensor. Not just that, but both telephoto cameras get OIS too. The 50 megapixel periscope lens and the additional 10 megapixel telephoto are stabilized. That means when you're shooting at 3x, 5x, or even pushing further digitally, the lens is physically compensating for handshake. On paper, that already sounds like a serious advantage. Now compare that to the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Apple has always been known for some of the smoothest video in the game. The 17 Pro Max runs a triple 48 megapixel setup, and Apple's sensor shift stabilization combined with software processing is insanely refined, especially at 4x zoom, where it can even push stabilized video at higher zoom levels. Apple's video consistency has been the gold standard for years. But here is where Samsung is clearly trying to change the narrative. The S26 Ultra is not just relying on traditional OIS. It is stacking that with upgraded AI-powered stabilization and super steady video across the lineup. Super steady has been around before, but this generation feels more aggressive, more refined. It is analyzing motion in real time and correcting micro jitters before they even show up in the final clip. Walking with both phones side by side, the difference is interesting. The iPhone 17 Pro Max still delivers that cinematic glide. It feels natural, almost like a tiny gimbal built into your hand. Motion blur is controlled, panning feels organic, and the footage rarely looks overprocessed. Apple plays it safe and smooth. The Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra, on the other hand, feels tighter, especially at higher zoom levels. Shooting at 5x while walking is where Samsung really flexes. That periscope lens with OIS makes a huge difference. In previous generations, zoom video was usable but shaky. Here, it is dramatically more stable. The AI is clearly stepping in to assist the optical hardware, and the result is surprisingly clean. Now let's talk low light stabilization because this is where things get tricky. The S26 Ultra widened the aperture on its main and 5x telephoto lenses. That means more light hitting the sensor, which allows for faster shutter speeds and less motion blur in darker environments. Combine that with OIS and AI correction, and you get night footage that does not fall apart the moment you start moving. The iPhone 17 Pro Max still has incredible low-light video. Apple's processing keeps noise controlled and stabilization consistent. But in very dim scenes while walking, Samsung's brighter aperture actually helps reduce that slight jitter you sometimes see when the phone is compensating aggressively. Another major difference shows up when you zoom in. At 8x zoom, the iPhone can still hold things together impressively well. But the S26 Ultra, thanks to dual telephoto, OIS, and AI assistance, keeps footage more locked in. It is not perfect, no smartphone is, but it is noticeably more confident than previous Samsung attempts. And here is something important. Samsung's stabilization feels more versatile this year. You have traditional OIS, super steady mode for action shots, and AI stabilization layered on top. That means whether you're filming your kid running, capturing sports, or vlogging while walking through a busy city, the phone adapts. Quick pause here. If you're enjoying this deep dive and you appreciate real-world comparisons instead of just spec sheets, hit that like button right now and make sure you're subscribed because we're only getting started. Now let's talk about consistency because that is Apple's biggest strength. The iPhone 17 Pro Max delivers predictable results every single time. You point, you shoot, you move, and you know exactly how the footage will look. The color science, the stabilization curve, the way it handles sudden motion shifts, it is incredibly polished. Samsung this year feels like it is finally closing that polish gap. The Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 inside the S26 Ultra is clearly helping process stabilization data faster. The vapor cooling redesign also helps during long recording sessions. That means less thermal throttling and more consistent stabilization over extended 4K or 8K recording. Yes, Samsung can shoot 8K, and while 8K is not for everyone, the stabilization at that resolution is more usable than before. Apple sticks to 4K up to 120 frames per second, which is incredibly smooth and practical. But if you're someone who wants maximum detail with stabilized footage, Samsung is giving you more headroom. One area where Apple still feels slightly more natural is in cinematic motion. When panning slowly, the iPhone tends to avoid that slightly robotic correction feel. Samsung's AI sometimes locks too aggressively, especially in super steady mode. It looks ultra stable, but occasionally less organic. So who wins? If you prioritize cinematic smoothness and consistency, the iPhone 17 Pro Max is still incredibly hard to beat. It is reliable, refined, and just works. But if you care about zoom stabilization, versatility, and aggressive shake reduction, especially at 5x and beyond, the Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra is finally stepping into serious competition territory. In some scenarios, especially high-zoom walking shots, it might even edge ahead. This is not a blowout. This is not one destroying the other. This is Samsung closing the gap in a way we have not seen before. The combination of enhanced OIS on multiple lenses, improved apertures for low light stability, and layered AI processing makes the S26 Ultra one of the most stable Android video cameras we have seen. At the end of the day, both of these phones are absolute beasts. But stabilization used to be Apple's safe win. Now, it is a real conversation. If you found this comparison helpful and you want to see full camera tests, low-light shootouts, and side-by-side video samples, make sure you subscribe and drop a like. There's a lot more coming, and you do not want to miss it.